Yeah, and you know what I learned? The things that I was trying to avoid, the things that I was leery of, I did, in fact, experience some of those things that I was concerned about. But what I learned is that God shielded me. God covered me so that even though I ended up experiencing those things, they did not break me. They did not take me out. They might have impacted me, but God covered and shielded me in the midst of it. And so here I am on the other side of it with the testimony.
Welcome to the Pastor Chira Show. I'm Pastor Chira, and today we launch. We launch into new territory. We launch into new mindset. We launch into new relationship. Are you ready to launch out? Come on and launch out with me as we go into this conversation on today. And it is, listen, y'all know, it is First Tuesday. What are we doing First Tuesday? We have a new artist. We have new music. We have new everything, and I am excited about this songwriter. Yes. So yes, we may not be the singer, but we have a lot to do with the songs that are being put out. And this pastor, yeah, I said pastor. She a whole pastor in her own right, in her own city. You know what? I ain't even gonna do that. I'm gonna bring in Pastor Cindy Rudolph. I'm excited. Yes.
Hey, Pastor Chira.
Hi. How are you?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I'm awesome. You look amazing. I am so excited. I cannot believe
Thank you. It's so good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited, and I'm so glad that you said yes. You said yes to me. I'm so excited.
That was easy. That was easy.
But listen, before we get into our conversation, can you just introduce yourself to the viewing audience?
Well, again, thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be with you. I am Cindy Rudolph, and I have been in ministry for 23 years now. The Lord called me way back in 2000. I have served in various capacities as a youth minister, as an associate, doing pastoral care, all sorts of things. I've been pastoring since 2009. And the church I serve is Oak Grove AME Church in Detroit, Michigan, the wonderful city of Detroit. I grew up on the East Coast, mostly in New Jersey, and moved to Detroit back in 2017. And I fell in love with Detroit. And I am just blessed to serve as the first woman at Oak Grove. The church is 102 years old, and I'm the first woman. I've been serving there since 2019, so I'm completing 4 years as we speak, and about to begin my 5th year as the first woman. And I am just blessed beyond compare to serve such marvelous, wonderful, faithful people. We have a good time every day. We have a good time every Sunday. We have a good time during the week. We are enjoying doing the work of ministry. And I thank God for my journey in ministry. I thank God for what he's doing and allowing me to branch out into new areas, which I know you and I are going to talk about. But I'm just excited about what God is doing in my ministry and what he's allowing me to do in so many different ways.
Now, wait a minute. Now, hold on. You was a Jersey girl.
Yes. Yes. I grew up in Newark. So here's the roundabout story. I am originally from a place called Guyana, South America. Migrated with my family when I was 5, almost 6 years old. Grew up in towns like East Orange, and Newark, New Jersey. Newark most of the time. And then started pastoring my first church in Pennsylvania. I've also pastored in Maryland. My husband's from Detroit. He wanted to move back home. So we ended up in Michigan, and I love it here.
Wait. So you've been here in because I'm in Pennsylvania. So you've been here in
Yeah.
Pennsylvania. Where'd you pastor in Pennsylvania?
So I pastored in Reading, Pennsylvania
Holy
for almost
moly!
3 years. That was
Wow.
my first pastoral charge. For almost 4 years, I was there.
What? So was it a plant? Did you go to somewhere that was and the Lord sent you there? So
So that church was founded in 1821.
oh my goodness.
No, it was nowhere near a plant. I was
It was kind of
I was
planted.
there in 2009 and left in 2013. And I left because I got married and moved to
Right.
Maryland, where my husband
Right.
was. And then pastored in Maryland, and he's from Detroit, wanted to move back home. So we ended up in Michigan, which I was initially not excited about. Growing up on the East Coast most of my life, and I didn't know what to
Right.
expect from the Midwest and all of that. But God had a plan, and He worked it out, and I could not be happier with what God has done and how He has orchestrated all of it.
Don't He always have a plan?
He does, and we don't
I
always
mean-
know that. At least we don't act like we know.
We don't act like it. We don't. And sometimes we know He has a plan, but we kind of don't want to go with the plan. So
Mhm.
what made you say, okay, God, I submit, I surrender, I'll go?
Yeah, I have a lot of those stories actually. Okay, God,
See?
fine. There have been times where I was like, fine, God. And then God will blow my mind and bless
Right.
in ways that I never could have seen coming. So I knew that it would be good for my husband and my daughter. We have a daughter who is 9, almost 10 years old. And my mother-in-law lives here in Detroit. And they were not able to spend as much time together as we would like them to because we were in Maryland. And my husband was at a point where he wanted to do something different. He was yearning to come back home. And so I knew it would be good for my mother-in-law. I knew it would be good for my husband. I knew it would be good for my daughter. I wasn't sure if it would be good for me, but I had to trust God. So
Yeah.
I did, and God has exceeded my expectations. When Bible says exceedingly and abundantly more than we could ever even ask or imagine. That's what God does.
Because we said, okay, God. Listen, because it's not always a overwhelming yes, right? Like, ooh, okay, God, I'm coming, I'm going. Like, I'm with
Right.
you all the way. Most of the times, if we're honest, our yes is conditional.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So one of the things that I'll give you another instance. One of the things I talk about in my book is
Wait,
how
in your what? In your who?
in my book.
You got a who? Wait.
I got a
Lord,
book. I
see?
got a whole book.
Now, see, we gotta. This is what I'm talking about.
Table, a guide to healing and transformation. And I'll tell you the premise of the book in just a moment. One of the things I talk about in the book is that I was in ministry for several years before I began to pastor. As I said, the Lord called me to preach, and I answered the call immediately. I did not hesitate. I didn't run from the call. I answered as soon as God called me to preach in February of 2000. I answered the call, but I did not start pastoring until 2009. So you do the math. I served as an associate for quite a while, youth minister, all those other things before I pastored. Now, initially, I didn't discern a call to the pastor. But after a while, it started becoming more clear to me that I would eventually pastor. Well, I made up my mind that I was not going to pastor a church until and unless I was married. One of the reasons why, and I wasn't being shallow. I
Right.
knew that there's some
Right.
challenges that single women face as pastors that are unique to single women who are pastors. And I was trying to avoid those kinds of things. And I had some other reasons, financial and all of that. I just decided that I wasn't going to do it. Well, here's the thing. I was foolish to conditions on my ministry. In
Right.
retrospect, I can say that. And so, even though I wasn't being shallow, I had reasons for doing what I did. I should not have put conditions on my ministry. And it was not until I did
Okay.
what God called me to do and went and pastored that church in Reading, Pennsylvania, 2 hours away from all my family and friends. It was a very lonely season for me. The people were great and they made it better for me, but it was a lonely time for
It's
me. But
lonely.
guess what God
Mhm.
did? In that very church where I was doing the work of ministry that God called me to do as the senior pastor, that is how I met my husband, at that church. And so the very condition that I put on my ministry was blocking me from getting the thing that I desired. And sometimes we cannot get to the other side of our blessing until we do what God tells and calls us to do.
Yes. Yes. And that's the important part. We have to do what God tells and calls.
That's right.
Because he'll tell us, but
Right.
then he'll call us. Because that's the
Yes.
difference.
Absolutely.
The
Absolutely.
call is different than the tell. Because
That's
he
right.
tells us a lot. He speaks
That's
to
right.
us all. But when he calls your, my God, when he
Mm-hmm.
calls your name, when he
Mm-hmm.
hollers out and says, I'm
Mm-hmm.
beckoning for you, I'm
That's right.
calling for you, I have an
Right.
assignment for you.
Assignment.
Will you
Mm-hmm.
hear my call?
Right.
Will you
Right.
heed to my,
Right.
that part, those parts.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's the holdup. It's the holdup to us because we see all of these other things and we recognize and we've seen what others have gone through and what others
Mm-hmm.
have experienced. And it's like, I don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing that. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
putting myself through that. But
Mm-hmm.
like you said, God has a plan
Absolutely.
because he called you.
Absolutely. Just do what God has called you to do. And I promise you, He's going to support you in it.
In every step of the way. And he
Ab-
has done just that for you. He has showed you, he has laid it out, and you have done what God has called you to do and told you to do in various areas. And we're going to go to a commercial break. And on the other side, we're going to talk about another one of those areas, which is music and how you've gotten to that place in ministry in this time. We'll be right back. Do you have a service or a business that helps others? Do you have an uplifting, inspiring, and encouraging conference or service coming up? It's time to get the word out. Advertise on The Pastor Chira Show. Go to thepastorchirashow.com and click on advertising opportunities to learn more. Let's let the world know about you. We're back and we're bringing back in Pastor Cindy Rudolph as we continue in our conversation of ministry. And you've been doing, we talked about a lot that you have done. And one of the things that I see is that you are the pastor of Oak Grove AME Church. So I'm just going to tell you.
Mhm.
So I am also the pastor of a historic Black church here in Philadelphia that was originally owned by, it was built by Bethel AME in, I think, 1842. But it was a Bethel AME church. And
That's all.
with you, you are the first woman pastor of Oak Grove. I'm the first woman pastor of Mount Vernon Baptist Church. We got a lot in common, lady. We got a lot in common.
We have a whole lot in common. And let me tell you this, my first church in Reading, Pennsylvania was called Bethel AME Church. And it was very intentional that so many of the AME church were called Bethel because that church where I pastored was a stop on the Underground Railroad, as many others were. And the slaves knew, the enslaved people, I should say, knew that if they were able to get to a place called Bethel, they
Bethel.
knew they were safe.
A place called. Listen, did you give me my sermon for Sunday? A place called Bethel.
Ah, you can have that. It's yours for free.
Woo! A place called Bethel. You'll be covered. You'll be safe. So, how did you get to be the first woman pastor of Oak Grove?
You know, it's nothing but God. I
Absolutely.
cannot give credit to anyone or anything but the Lord. I never saw it coming. It's a blessing I could not have sought. Oak Grove is actually the largest AME church in the state of Michigan and in our entire region, which is called the Fourth Episcopal District. And to have a woman in an assignment like Oak Grove is a very big deal. It was a very historic appointment. In the AME Church, we are appointed. We're not like congregationally led churches where congregations are able to vote on and choose their own pastor. We are appointed by bishops. The reason why we call ourselves the African Methodist Episcopal Church is because the episcopacy means that we're governed by bishops, and so the bishops appoint us to churches. I thank God for my bishop, John Franklin White, who was very forward thinking and did not allow tradition and history to prevent him from sending a woman to a church that historically a woman could not have been assigned to. And he didn't stop with me, but he has made several appointments of women to lead churches. Our churches are not only governed by bishops, but we have a liaison in between the local church and the bishop called a presiding elder. He has appointed several presiding elders who are female, who are women, I should say. And I mean, he really is a progressive and forward thinking bishop. But ultimately, all the glory, all the honor, and all the praise goes to God.
That is amazing. And had you not heard the call, followed the call to go to Detroit,
That's
not
right.
stay where you were, not stay in Maryland, who's to say how this would have turned out for you? Because you knew you were to be in senior leadership, but you didn't see how it was going to happen in this way. But God orchestrated every last step.
Every last step. Every last step. And I had no idea what God had planned. When I say exceedingly and abundantly, I never would have even thought that I'd be considered for Oak Grove, but God did it. And this is the part that I'm really, really grateful for. From day one, the people have embraced me. They have loved me. They have supported me. They are the most wonderful group of people you could ever have the pleasure of serving. And I'm just so grateful for the graciousness and the love and support that they have extended to me.
That's amazing. And it also shows in what you're doing, even in your music, because even in being a senior lead, a senior pastor, you still have the room to do what you're doing in writing your book and writing your music. How long, let me ask this question. How long have you been writing in these capacities?
So the song that I just put out, which is called Help My Unbelief, was written at least 15 years ago.
Wait, what?
And at
Did you
least
say
15 years.
15?
Yes,
Oh
yes.
my goodness.
I have been writing songs for some time, but here's the interesting thing. God just really does move in mysterious ways. I can't sing. I don't sing. That's not my gift. And I believe in staying in my lane.
Yep.
I played an instrument as a child, but I don't play an instrument now, haven't played one in years. But when God gives me a song, He gives me an entire melody. I can hear it from beginning to end. And so I was able to share not only the lyrics, but the melody of the song with my director of music, who happens to be an Emmy Award winning artist. He then went to the studio. We worked together. He filled in with every instrument you can imagine, orchestra, strings, everything, and just took it to a new level. And then we brought in, his name is LaShawn Gary, by the way, and he
Mm-hmm.
records all kinds of music, including jazz. And then we brought in Dodie Alexander, who is from the group Pam and Dodie, and she's been in the business for years. She's one of the psalmists that often sings at our church, and she is gifted beyond words. And she took the song to a whole new level with her interpretation of it. And so I'm just grateful that God not only gave this to me, but then he allowed me to partner with people who could just take it even higher.
And that is key, because a lot of times, my God, today, we feel like we have to do it all. And we take it like, this is mine, this is what God gave me, I got to make sure it gets done. But you said something so important. I know my lane and I stay in my lane. I know my lane and
That's
I
right.
stay in my lane.
Yeah.
And
Because
get
here's the thing.
those that can help
Right.
build and excel to do
Right.
their lane.
Right.
Because we
right.
are to be helpers one of another, right? Isn't that what
There
the
you
word
go.
says?
There you go.
Go ahead.
Each of us has different gifts, and it's up to us to know our gifts, stand in the strength of our gifts, and allow God to use us to partner with other people who have different gifts. And then we can bring all of those together and glorify God together with a multiplicity of gifts.
Yes, because that's what we're supposed to do. Because
Right.
we're supposed to. That's part of the disciple part, right? Whether you
Absolutely.
know him or not, that's part of the bringing in, us coming together, bringing our gifts together, working in the kingdom to build up the kingdom. Not just
Absolutely.
one person, but it takes all of us. It takes everything that God has given us in order to put it to work.
Absolutely.
I must work the work of him that sent me while it's day, because night's coming and with no man
I
can.
know what your work.
So I'm going to do this work. I'm going to
That's
do this work. But
Do the
not by
work.
myself. We're going to do this together.
That's
I
right.
can't build the kingdom by myself. It's a
That's
huge
right.
kingdom. It's a lot to do.
That's
And I don't
right.
have it all. I love that that's what you see, but it's also what you cultivate. A lot of people don't cultivate that. And that's a gift in itself. Is this
Yeah, and
something that
you
was done for you?
Right. And you mentioned the church earlier. The church has been extremely supportive of me in my independent projects. So we actually filmed the music video for the song during a Sunday worship service. And on top of that, when I published the book, I had a book signing at the church. And so my members have been very excited, very supportive. When we filmed the video, we all had T-shirts with the Help My Unbelief logo, which was the album cover logo. I mean, it was just phenomenal. And so I'm just grateful that the people are supportive not only of me as their pastor, but of the things that I do in addition to being their pastor.
So tell everyone, you let us know that we can get your book on Amazon. Where can we hear this phenomenal music, and where can we see this video?
So the video is on YouTube. If you go to my YouTube channel, Cindy Rudolph Ministries, the video is available. Or if you just put in the YouTube search, Help My Unbelief, Pastor Cindy Rudolph, you'll also see the names LaShawn Gary and Dodie Alexander. That's how you can see the video. But the song is available on every digital platform where you get your music. So whether it's iTunes or Amazon or Spotify, wherever you get your music, the song is available for download. Download it. Support a sister.
Support a
We
sister.
are
Support.
hoping you will do just that. And I'm just grateful to you, Pastor Chira, for allowing me this platform and for allowing me to tell people about the song and about the book, because ultimately I want them both to reach as many people as possible. Help My Unbelief was birthed out of a faith crisis in my own life. And we all get to that place as believers where we know the Lord is real, but there's a remnant of unbelief in us. And we just need to say to the Lord, I believe, but I need you to help my unbelief. Take the thing out of me that's getting in the way of my faith walk with you. And so that song speaks to that. And I was able to receive that message from the Lord in the midst of that faith crisis. And I pray that it'll be a blessing to so many.
Absolutely, it will be a blessing. I promise you, it's already blessing me. It's already blessing me. How can people get in touch with you?
They can look me up at Cindy Rudolph Ministries. That's my website. They can also go to oakgroveame.org. And if they want to email me, they can email me pastor@CindyRudolphMinistries.com. I'm also on Instagram as Pastor Cindy Rudolph, and I'm on Facebook as Cindy Rudolph. And so by all means, reach out and we'll try to get back to you as soon as we can.
Let me tell you something. If they don't, I will, because I'm staying in touch with you, lady.
Praise God. Praise God. I look forward to that.
I thank you so much for sharing your time, because time is something that we cannot get back. And I so appreciate you sharing your time with us on today. Thank you so much. Listen, that was Pastor Cindy Rudolph. And even if you have some unbelief, even when you have some unbelief, God will definitely help your unbelief and take you to the next place that He has for you to go if you hear His call and give Him your yes. I'm Pastor Chira. This is the Pastor Chira Show, and I'll see you next week. God bless. Coming up on the Pastor Chira Show.